Hey nurses, welcome to the first topic on our channel, Nursing for All. We have started this channel with the motive of providing quality education to the student nurses. Hope you will learn something novel from this channel. You can also recommend the topics to be discussed in this channel in the comment section below. And please do not forget to subscribe. So as the first topic, I would like to teach you about the anatomy of lungs. So as you have seen in the diagram, please concentrate on the diagram. So the lungs are paired cone-shaped structures which are present in the thoracic cavity. Now, separating the lungs. So the structures of the mediastinum and the heart, as it is seen in the diagram, the heart and the other structures of the mediastinum will separate this thoracic cavity into right and the left side. Now, what is mediastinum? Mediastinum is nothing but it is a division or a section of thoracic cavity which holds structures like lungs, the heart, larynx, and the part of trachea and the other structures. Now, each lung, when you see each lung separately, is covered by two layers of serous membranes. Okay, so these two membranes you call it as pleura. You call them layers as pleura. Now, pleura is again divided into two. I told you there are two membranes. Like the outermost membrane, you call it as parietal pleura, and the inner layer you call it as visceral pleura. Now, the parietal pleura, it comes in contact or it lines the wall of thoracic cavity. As you all know, the lungs are not unprotected. They are protected by the rib cage. So this layer, when it comes in contact or this touches the thoracic cavity, hence we call it as it is the superficial layer and it lines the wall of the thoracic cavity. On the other hand, the second layer or the inner layer, you call it as the visceral pleura. The term viscera means all the major organs like heart, stomach, or the innermost organs, you call them as visceral organs. Hence the name visceral pleura, because this layer comes directly in contact with the lung tissue. So there is also, now this is the visceral pleura. Now there is a place that is existing between these two pleura called as the pleural space. Okay, the space between these two pleural membranes, you call it as pleural space. Now, or pleural cavity. Now this cavity is not empty. This cavity is filled with a fluid called pleural fluid. So the function of this pleural fluid is to allow, like when you breathe, both the membranes has to slide over each other. They rub against each other. Okay, so what happens, this pleural fluid will prevent the friction between these two layers whenever they are in action. So just to say, lungs are paired cone-shaped structures and they are separated by the heart and other structures of mediastinum. Now, each lung is covered by two membranes, that is called as pleura. So the outer membrane, you call it as visceral pleura, and the inner parietal pleura, I'm sorry. And the inner membrane, you call it as visceral pleura. So the parietal pleura will line the wall of the thoracic cavity, whereas the visceral pleura covers the lung itself. So there is a space between these two pleura called as pleural cavity, which is filled with pleural fluid. So the function of the pleural fluid is to decrease the friction or to allow both the layers to slide against each other. Now, the pleural fluid, the other function of pleural fluid is like it also decreases. See, for example, this blue color fluid is your pleural fluid. So the function of this pleural fluid is also to reduce the surface tension. So we will learn much about surface tension when we are dealing with the structure of alveoli. So for now, it is also the pleural fluids, or the function of the pleural fluid is to reduce the surface tension. Now, as I told, there are separate pleural cavities for both the lungs. Okay, there is a pathological condition called as pleural effusion. The meaning is, as you see in this diagram, there is lots of pleural fluid in your left lung when compared to the right lung. So this condition where excessive pleural fluid accumulates in the pleural space, you call it as pleural effusion. Then there is another condition called as pleuritis. As this suffix itis indicates inflammation, pleuritis is nothing but inflammation of the lung. Now, we will see the exact location of the lungs. So the lungs extend from the diaphragm. So as we know, when you learn about the respiratory muscles, the diaphragm is the major respiratory muscle. Along with the diaphragm, there are intercostal muscles. Okay, so the lungs extends. So this is the diaphragm. Okay, it is a dome-shaped structure, and this is called as diaphragm. So the lungs extends from the diaphragm to slightly superior to the clavicle. As you know, this is the clavicle. So or the first rib. So it extends slightly. When you try to touch your clavicle, then your lungs are just above your clavicle. So it extends from the diaphragm to slightly just above the uh, what I say clavicle. Then this border of the lung, if you see, this is broad. Okay, so this inferior border, which is broad, you call it as the base of the lung. Okay, and this base is concave. Concave means cavity. It is like inward, like, so the base of the lung is concave. Why is it concave? Is, as I told, the diaphragm is convex or it is dome shaped. So this concave surface of the lung is very much like, it can accommodate this convex surface of the diaphragm. So that's the reason the base of the lung is concave in shape. And this narrow part of the lung is called as apex. Okay, and it is superior. So the in this slide, it is like the lungs extend from the diaphragm to slightly above the clavicle, and the broad inferior part, you call it as the base of the lung, whereas the narrow superior part, you call it as apex. The base is concave in shape in order to accommodate the convex surface of the diaphragm. Now, we will see the surfaces of the lung. Now, when you learn the surfaces, it has two surfaces, that is costal surface and mediastinal surface. Now, the name itself, costal, the exact meaning of costal is nothing but rib cage. Now, the surface of the lung which comes in contact with the rib cage, as we know, over this surface you have rib cage like this. You have all the 12 pairs of ribs covering this surface. Hence, this is called as costal surface. The surface of the lung which comes in contact with the rib cage, you call it as costal surface. Whereas the mediastinal surface, as you know, the central axis of the body, you call it as mediastinum. So this part of the lung, or to this corners, or this part, okay, this part of the lung, you call it as mediastinal surface. When I zoom it, it is like this, because the mediastinal surface is the region, has a region called as hilum. Okay, so the hilum is the area through which your arteries, veins, lymphatic vessels, and the bronchi, all the structures will enter and exit the lung through this hilum. And also the left lung. Okay, this is the left lung. So the left lung, medially the left lung has a cavity means cave. Remember, it is deep. So it has a deep concavity in the left side. So this is called as cardiac notch. Okay, so this cardiac notch is like, this is to accommodate the heart. So we have learned so far, we have learned about the lungs structure, then the layers of the lung, then we have learned about the like pleuritis and pleural effusion. Then we have also learned about the surfaces like base of the lung, apex of the lung. Then we have learned about the surfaces, that is costal surface and the mediastinal surface. In the mediastinal surface, we have learned about the hilum and also the cardiac notch. Next, we will see much more in detail about the lung. So we will see, because as I know, as you all see, the right side, we know the right side of the abdomen has a liver, has an organ called liver. So as we know, liver occupies most of the right side of our body. So what happens due to the accommodation of liver on the right side, the lung is pushed, or the length of the lung will be reduced, which means the right lung is short when compared to the left lung, because on the right side you have your liver occupying the space. Now, when you see the left lung, as I told, there is a notch called cardiac notch. So due to the presence, like half of the lung is gone due to the presence of cardiac notch, hence the left lung is smaller when compared to the right lung. Okay, right lung is shorter and the left lung is smaller. Right lung is shorter because of the presence of this one, what, liver, whereas the left lung is smaller because of the presence of your cardiac notch. Next, when you see in relationship with the rib cage, like, so the anterior border, so the base of the lung, this is the base, this is the base. So the base of the lung extends from sixth intercostal space. If you can keenly observe, this is your sixth intercostal space is nothing but the space between two ribs. You call it as intercostal space. So the base of the lung extends from the sixth intercostal space to the 10th rib. So this is your 10th. So it extends from this, from 6th to 10th, it is extending anteriorly. But when you see this pleura, okay, this is the lung tissue, and the blue color tissue here, or the blue color shadow here, is the pleural membrane. If you observe, the lung is not completely covering this pleural cavity. It leaves a space between. So though the lung extends till sixth intercostal space, the pleura extends below it till the 12th rib. So from the 6th to 12th, okay, the pleura extends about 5 centimeters below its base. That is from the 6th intercostal cartilage anteriorly and the 12th rib posteriorly. Till this area, the pleural membrane will extend. Okay, so which tells us that the lung is not completely covering the pleural space. So what is the advantage of it? Because see, for procedures, as I told you, there is a pathological condition called as pleural effusion. In this condition, you have to aspirate whatever excessive fluid is there. You have to remove that fluid from the lungs. Okay, so this process of removal of or aspirating the excessive fluid, you call it as thoracentesis. Removal of excessive pleural fluid, you call it as thoracentesis. Now, for this procedure to take place, I have to insert a needle or a cannula. So what happens now? I will always uh, prefer inserting my needle into this space, or below the 7th intercostal space, or below the 9th intercostal space, so that in the 9th to 11th intercostal space, 12th intercostal space, I know that there is no presence of lung tissue. So easily there is the risk of injuring the lung with the needle. There is a chance of me pricking the needle into the client's lung is very high if I insert the needle anywhere from here. So that's the reason I will see to that I will insert the needle only in the lower part, so that only there is no risk of injuring the lung with the needle. Next, we will learn about the lobes, fissures, and lobules. As you know, this is the right lung and this is the left lung. So both the lungs have, like you see, right lung has 3 lobes, whereas the left lung has 2 lobes. Okay, right lung has 3 lobes and the left lung has 2 lobes. Now, as you can see, there are like what we tell deep marcations or indentations. So these deep things, you call it as fissures. Okay, so both the lungs have a similar fissure, this fissure called as oblique fissure. Okay, so both the lungs have oblique fissure. Now both right lung and left lung has oblique fissure. So due to the presence of this oblique fissure, you are dividing both the lungs into superior lobe and the inferior lobe. But the right lung, on the other hand, has an extra fissure called as horizontal fissure. This horizontal fissure will divide the superior lobe into, sorry, this upper lobe into superior lobe and the middle lobe. Okay, so this, both the lungs have a similar fissure called as oblique fissure, which divides the lung into lower lobe and upper lobe. But on the right lung, you have an additional fissure called as horizontal fissure. This horizontal fissure subdivides this upper lobe into superior lobe and the middle lobe. Now, so the last section is lungs in relation with the bronchi. So as you know, this is the trachea, this is the bronchi, and this entire thing is your bronchial tree. Now, this brown color thing, so the trachea divides into primary bronchi. So you have only one primary bronchi entering into each lung. Then this primary bronchi is again dividing into secondary bronchi. So since this one you call it as lobar bronchi. Okay, so each lobe receives its own secondary bronchus. Thus, right bronchus gives to, okay, so you see here, so each lobe of the lung, this is the upper lobe, this is the middle lobe, this is the lower lobe. So each lobe is receiving one bronchi. So hence this secondary bronchi, this purple color bronchi, you call them as lobar bronchi. Okay, so the secondary bronchi is otherwise called as lobar bronchi because each lung, each lobe of the lung receive one. So since left lung has only two lobes, it has only two secondary bronchi. Then if you see the secondary bronchi, it is again giving or divided into tertiary bronchi. Okay, so like there are approximately 10 tertiary bronchi in each lung. Now, the segment of the lung which receives, like for example, see this area, this segment of the lung which receives the tertiary bronchi, you call it as bronchopulmonary segment. See, this is one bronchopulmonary segment. This area is one bronchopulmonary segment. This is one bronchopulmonary segment. Like see, all these are bronchopulmonary segments. So there are times where they have asked bronchopulmonary segment as a 5 marks question. So bronchopulmonary segment is nothing but the area of the lung which receives the tertiary bronchi, you call it as bronchopulmonary segment. So in this slide, what we have learned is each lung receives one primary bronchi. This primary bronchi divides into secondary bronchi. Now, each secondary bronchi enters into lobe, one lobe, hence they are called as lobar bronchi. Each secondary bronchi again subdivides into tertiary bronchi, and the part of the lung or the area of the lung which receives the tertiary bronchi, you call it as bronchopulmonary segment. Now, each segment of the lung has many compartments called as lobules. Now, as I told you, these are the segments, like because there is one tertiary bronchi, tertiary. Now, this part is again having small parts called as lobules. So, each segment of the lung has many compartments called as lobules. Now, inside this part you have lobules. Inside the lobule, you will receive your alveolar duct, your lymphatic vessel, your blood vessel, your arterial venule, everything enters deep into the lobules. Okay, so once it enters into it, the alveolar ducts divide into respiratory bronchiole. See, the terminal bronchiole will divide into respiratory bronchiole. This respiratory bronchiole will be divided into alveolar duct open into the alveolus. So alveoli, sorry. So this much is present when you look microscopically into the lung. So this is about the lungs. So I would like to do a quick review of whatever we have learned, a very quick review. So lungs are the paired cone-shaped organs which are present in the thoracic cavity, and they are separated from each other by the heart and the other structures of the mediastinum. So each lung is covered by two serous membranes called as pleura. So the outer membrane, you call it as parietal pleura, which lines the thoracic cavity, and the inner membrane, you call it as visceral pleura, which comes in contact with the tissue, lung tissue directly. The space between this, you call it as pleural space, which is covered with pleural, which is filled with pleural fluid. The function of the pleural fluid is to reduce the surface tension, thereby allowing the membranes to slide against each other very smoothly. Now, the inflammation of lung tissue, you call it the inflammation of the pleural membrane, you call it as pleuritis, and the accumulation of excessive fluid, you call it as pleural effusion. Now, the lungs. Now we have seen the lung, the parts of the lungs. So the broad inferior portion, you call it as the base of the lung, and the narrow superior portion, you call it as apex of the lung. So the apex of the lungs extends till above a little space of your clavicle, whereas the base is concave in shape to accommodate the convex structure of the diaphragm. Next, we have learned about the surfaces, that is costal surface and the mediastinal surface. The surface, it is rounded. Sorry, this is round in curvature, and this faces towards the ribs. Whereas the mediastinal surface has an area called hilum, through which all your blood vessels, veins, your lymphatic vessels, bronchi, everything enter into the lung and exits the lung as well. And in the left lung, you have a concave notch called as cardiac notch, which accommodates your heart. Now, the lungs, the right lung is shorter than the left lung because you have your liver, which is which is accommodating the space on the right side, whereas the left lung is smaller because of the presence of your cardiac notch. Now, the lungs, the base of the lung extends from 6th to 10th intercostal space, but 6th in the anterior side and 10th in the posterior side. But the pleural space extends below this till the 12th rib. The pleural space is filled below the 12th rib. So whenever I do a process called thoracentesis, which is aspiration of excessive pleural fluid, I will place my needle in between this 10th to 12th ribs, so that the risk of puncturing or damaging or injuring the lung is minimum, because there is no presence of lung tissue in this area. Then we have seen about the lobes, fissures and lobules. Right and left lung. Right lung has 3 lobes, left lung has 2 lobes, and a fissure called oblique fissure will divide the lung into both the lungs into inferior and superior lobe. Now additionally, the right lung has a fissure called horizontal fissure, sorry, which divides the superior lobe again into middle and upper lobe. Now we have seen the bronchi. Each lung receives one primary bronchi, which is subdivided into secondary bronchi. Now each secondary bronchi enters into each lobe. Hence these are called as lobar bronchi. Now each secondary bronchi subdivides to form the tertiary bronchi. So the area or the segment of the lung which receives the tertiary bronchi, you call it as bronchopulmonary segment. Now, inside this segment, it has again small compartments called as lobules. So each lobule, like one lobule, again, you have a small thing. So each lobule is covered with an elastic connective tissue. And inside this lobule, you can see lymphatic vessel, arteriole, venule, and the terminal bronchiole. So which divides into respiratory bronchioles, which subdivides into alveolar ducts. So I have finished the anatomy of my lungs. So I need your sincere suggestions if I have to modify. Like, I don't know if you watch lengthy videos. That's the reason I have made it quite faster. So if you want me to go a little slow, I am ready to do it. Please mention your suggestions in the comments section below so that we can do our best to bring the best content to you. So thank you. We will meet on the next session with your valuable advices. Thank you again.